Hey, how's it going, everyone? So we are going to take a look here. This is going to probably be the bonus video on my three deck article. So I was, going through the Pauper. I've added the competitive corner to my article series on puremtgo.com. And I was going through the listings and was a little surprised to see I don't really follow the Thursday Night Magic, but did find that it was Pauper in this past week, and I came across this deck list here, and I had to talk about it, had to show it off. It's absolutely hysterical and awesome. It was played here. It looks Casper 66 is the person who ran it. He managed to go 3-0 with it. And I had to talk about it. I had to give it a try because it looked so awesome. So let's see here. I threw it up in the deck editor. Let's see if I can kind of explain what's going on here. So this is kind of an interesting deck. It's basically a draw go kind of control deck. 5 color draw go control. However you want to word that is what it is. This deck is entirely based on instant spells, and I honestly can see why it works. There is really a definitely, we find ourselves in a meta environment currently that really revolves around a deck like this, and it can have success. There's just it's amazing how powerful these decks can be. We see a lot of it already with the different 8 post decks and mono blue control. But this is actually a deck that was built, and it's a 5 color deck. Now, kind of an interesting thing here. Let's God, I don't even know where to start. I guess the win conditions on this, you have a single Havenwood Worm, which can be tutored out with mystical teachings through the fact that it has flash. If you hit through with that 4 times, game over. The other win condition, I guess, is going to be Sprout Swarm. Make yourself a whole bunch of 1/1 tokens and win out. Um, and that's it. I am shocked and amazed that he went 3-0 with this, but power to him. That's absolutely fantastic. Um, I look at this list and I'm like, if I counter or kill the worm and I counter the Sprout Swarm, um, that's it. Game over. You can't win. Um, any blue red is it potent decks, even the mono blue control decks, I think would absolutely dominate this, but somehow still manage to go 3-0. Um, that's that's great. But so it runs very heavy counterspell package. You're running full set of counterspells, 3 copies of Fairy Trickery, a single Exclude, a full set of Rewind, a full set of Prohibit. I apologize, 2 Prohibits, and that's your big heavy counter package. Mystical Teachings is really great in this. You're running 5 colors, so you definitely want to be able to search out things, most especially your win conditions, in the worm and the Sprout Swarm, or kill spells if necessary, counter spells, either way. There's not a lot of mana ramps, so it does get a little wonky when you're trying to not just teachings, you want a teachings plus counterspell in most cases. It does have, it's great. It's running all snow-covered islands, so you can bring in Scred, which is the best 1 red cost creature kill spell. It does 1 damage to target creature per snow permanent that you have. So when you start getting all these mountains and islands and all these snow-covered lands into play, you could easily hit your opponent for almost 10 on a creature at least. So you have that. He also brought in, let's scroll down a little bit here, you can't see the bottom here, 4 copies of Think Twice for the card draw engine, which is great. This entire deck is played at the end of your opponent's turn. It's really a lot of fun to play. Like I said, I don't know how it managed to be competitive, in all honesty, but it's fun as hell, and I had to put it together. I had to give it a try. When it comes to this sideboard, nothing too crazy here. Full set of Pyroblasts, Seismic Shredder for the swarm kind of matchups, negates Hydroblast. One interesting thing is Life Burst, and having just getting crushed in a daily by red deck wins. I really think Life Burst could be a great thing. This format has really become almost dominated by life gain. you get these decks in Pauper now where you stall with life gain, you just trying to get to that mid game, mid to late, and then win it. If you can hold off, you got the glimmer posts out there. The black white deck that is out there is based on a whole bunch of life gain off of the Rift Watchers and the Crossroads and everything. So I've really found that the life gain on this in this format has really become kind of a dominant thing, to power yourself to the mid game and get past all those aggro decks that are out there. So I kind of like the inclusion of life burst, hindering touch. Like I said, nothing too crazy, but an absolutely crazy deck. Definitely worth putting together and playing if you have the cards. So we're going to take a look. This is one example game I got. Opening hand's good, not great. We have islands for the counter spells. Excuse me. Still trying to get over my cold. I apologize. And we got a Scred, which is great, but we need red mana. It's absolutely a great card to have, but you really need the mountains or the grottos to get it going. We just take actually a look real quick. Kind of interesting thing about the mana base, you are running a full set of Terramorphics and a full set of Evolving Wilds and a full set of Shimmering Grotto. That's kind of how they make up for fixing the 5 colors, but you still feel a little held back sometimes without an actual ramp engine. So we're gonna sit here. My opponent's playing some black version. I do play a second island here so that I can counterspell if necessary on turn 2. Shimmering Grotto would go down as an answer for aggro, but playing against black, you're assuming some kind of mono black control, which it is, and the counterspells are kind of nice to have for those early rats. Some might disagree with this counterspell. I feel that I'm going to be discarding a card anyway, so why not spend the counterspell and keep the rat off the board? That's just kind of my logic on that one. But now draw another island. We're going to put the grotto out now so that we do have the option to Scred if necessary. Draw into a third counterspell. So we're sitting pretty good. My opponent is a little stuck on lands. He's still at 2. Not good for him, but we're going to come to end the turn here and cast out a Teachings. There's nothing going on at this point in the game. You can grab almost anything, to make up for it. I did go for the win condition. Without drawing into one of these 2 cards, you can't win. So I kind of have the green source, but it's going to cost me 6 to cast the Swarm with buyback. So I'm not going to be able to do that just quite yet. But I did feel it was important to at least get it into hand. Opponent tries to throw out a rat. I'm going to counterspell it. Maybe a better idea there would have been the rewind. Because I had all the mana, but this deck is such draw go. Like, everything is literally instant speed, so there's no need to really cast anything. There's no reason why you should be tapped out at all going into your opponent's turn. You should almost be completely untapped. So my opponent plays a Rager, perhaps a target for counterspell. I decided in this game that I was going to save my counterspell for the discard, let him draw the card, and just kill it off with the Stagger Shock. Which would, on my next turn, I can throw it to his head. It could be a quality thing to hold him off. He's a little mana screwed, so keeping him off that draw might have been a good idea. But I really decided to save the counterspells for the discards. I'm not getting my draw cards. I didn't hit any of the Think Twice yet. I could tutor them up, but I just did not use the wait a sec. Let's back up a second. I did not find it relevant to use the mystical teachings to get that at that point in time. I think it's in the first few uses is better off finding a spell for the win condition. Now you see I did accidentally let a rats through. I did want to counterspell that. So this is kind of what I was talking about, where you end up in this situation where if you counterspell it, you're still losing a card, but you keep the body off the table. But that one did slip by, but I will have the mana now at least to cast my first Sprout Swarm. And my opponent is down life, so we can sit here and trade back and forth 1 damage. And I'm going to be in the lead since he had already taken 3 damage off of life gain and the Stagger Shock. I'm sorry, the Rager and the Stagger Shock. So he's going to attack through. We drew an exclude, which is great. We can get a little card draw going off the creatures. Here I did decide to stop the draw, not so much because I didn't want him drawing cards as much as I wanted to personally draw cards. I could have very easily let that come down and put out a Sprout Swarm. Another issue is that it is a 2/2 body, so it's going to kind of slow down my Saprolings. I won't be able to attack through with that, so we definitely wanted to keep that off the table. So get Evolving Wilds. This time I fetch for the Forest. This gives me an opportunity to use Sprout Swarm without tapping out through Grotto, and hopefully, later as the game progresses, it gives me an opportunity to cast the Swarm more often. So now he attempts to play another Rat. I kill it off. I could have very easily let that come down and used Echoing Decay to kill them both, but I didn't. I'm sitting on cards that I really didn't want to discard at this point in the game. Getting a little more kill now with the Strangling Soot. We have a lot of options now, and the discard is really something that's going to host us up. We're out of counterspells now, as you can see, though. He plays a Chittering Wretch, which is disappointing, but not, so terrible. It stops us from the draw, which sucks, but we have answers to kill it off. I'll use the Strangling Soot here and save the Scred for something perhaps bigger that I may want to run into. There's not a lot of things that will find a mono black that could be better, but I figured it was a good opportunity to use this when there was actually a target within its range. So we're going to swing through Chad again. Like I said earlier, I am at a bit of an advantage here because my opponent took some life off the Stagger Shock and the Ragers. Sign in Blood is going to take him off more. I'm not sure why he conceded here, but we're going to keep passing the one back and forth. If he gets no plays, he tapped out here, so end of his turn I was going to put out another Swarm token, the Saproling, and it's just going to keep going back and forth, but hopefully you get at least a quick idea at how this deck plays through. I don't know how it won, but I thought it was great that it did. Says something about the guy who ran it, or gal, the person who ran it, and the format itself, the fact that a rogue deck like this can make a showing. Personally I felt it could use a bit more of a heavier draw, but I guess I could have been using the teachings a little more aggressively there. So I definitely recommend, if you get a chance, check out this deck list, and if you have the cards, put it together and just give it a run, just for the hell of it. Even if you lose the games, it's definitely fun to play this kind of draw-go deck.